Good afternoon, everyone. A very warm welcome to today's webinar, Unlocking the Potential of Digital Twins in Sustainable AEC Practices. My name is Titash Roy. I'm the Industry Manager Infrastructure at Geospatial World, and I will be your host for this webinar. We're thrilled to have with us a diverse audience consisting of architects, engineers, construction leaders, sustainability advocates, and tech innovators. Whether you're joining from India or abroad, thank you for carving out time to explore how digital twins are reshaping the future of sustainable infrastructure. The built environment stands at a very critical crossroads in human history. Today, it accounts for nearly 40% of global carbon emissions, more than the entire transportation sector, while consuming over 50% of the world's raw materials. Every year, construction generates 30% of global waste, much of which ends up in landfills. With urban populations projected to double by 2050, adding another 2.5 billion city dwellers, we face an existential question. How do we build smarter, not just bigger? How do we create infrastructure that doesn't serve today's needs, but actively regenerates our planet for future generations? This is where digital twin transforms from technological novelty to essential survival tools. These dynamic, data-driven mirrors of physical assets allow us to run thousands of simulations before pouring a single foundation. Picture this: a highway system digitally stress-tested against 100-year monsoon projections, automatically adjusting drainage slopes and materials to prevent flooding. A net zero hospital where every beam and window is optimized in the digital twin to maximize natural light while minimizing HVAC loads. Or an entire smart city district where energy flows, traffic patterns, and even pedestrian movements are continuously optimized through its living digital twin. The power of this technology lies in its bridging of worlds, connecting design with operations, architects with city planners, and human needs with planetary boundaries. By creating this feedback loop between physical and digital, we are able to see construction waste reductions of up to 30% through precise material forecasting, operational energy savings of 20 to 40% via continuous performance optimization, asset lifespans extended by decades through predictive maintenance algorithms. This isn't just about the efficiency, it's about reinventing the very DNA of how we build. When a digital twin can show us how a building will perform in 2070s climate, or how a bridge will handle migration patterns we can't yet imagine, we are not just planning infrastructure, we are engineering resilience into the bones of our civilization. The challenges before us is no longer technical, since the tools exist. The question is whether we have the vision and the collective will to deploy them at the scale of our planet demands. Because in the race against climate change and resource depletion, digital twins aren't just helpful, they're quite possible one of our most powerful allies. At Geospatial World, we have been at the forefront of evangelizing this transformative technology across different economic sectors. Through various initiatives like the Geospatial World Forum, GeoSmart India, AEC Forum, industry reports, white papers, and knowledge papers, as well as cross-sector collaborations, we are advocating for digital twins as a cornerstone of sustainable development, whether in smart cities, transportation, energy, or of course in the AEC industry. Under the aegis of our upcoming conference, Geospatial World Forum, we are hosting a 2-day-long AEC summit, which is scheduled on the 24th and 25th of April at Madrid, Spain. The theme of this summit, Spatial Computing and Digital Twin Enterprise, Unlocking Digital Potential Across Infrastructure Lifecycle, focuses on how these technologies can unlock new possibilities for smarter and more resilient infrastructure. Through the integration of spatial computing and digital twins, this summit will uncover the groundbreaking approaches to optimize infrastructure management, boost long-term asset performance, and drive sustainability across the entire life cycle of buildings, transportation systems, and urban environments. I request everyone in the audience to go through the links that will be available in your chat box to have a look at the detailed program agenda of the AEC Summit. If today's discussion sparks your interest, we invite you to register and join us to continue shaping the future of sustainable AEC practices. With this, we'll begin our first session of this webinar. The topic for this session is enhancing collaboration and sustainability in design with digital twins. To initiate our discussion, I'd like to welcome our first panelist, Dr. D. Vasudevan. Dr. Vasudevan is the Chief General Manager of Varanasi Smart City Limited. With 40 years of experience as a qualified engineer and IT professional, Dr. Vasudevan specializes in IT management, consulting, ICT for education, e-governance, and project management. His career encompasses roles in government, public sector undertakings, and private enterprises, as well as independent consulting. A very warm welcome, Dr. Vasudevan, and thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Tejas. So well articulated introduction.
Thank you, sir. Our second panelist is Dr. Debashish Roy. Dr. Roy is the Associate Vice President of Pinnacle Infotech Solutions, overseeing the Middle East and India. He brings extensive experience across all domains of the infrastructure business, having held leadership roles in reputable organizations within the transport infrastructure, wind, and power sectors. Welcome to the panel, Dr. Roy.
Warm thank you for extending the invitation to me, and with this panel that we have, I think it's going to be a great discussion. Looking forward to it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Unfortunately, our third panelist for this session, Mr. Prashant Patil, could not join us today. He had some last moment meeting that came up, so he has sent his regrets. So, we'll start with the session then. Firstly, before I start with the questions, I would request both the panelists to take a couple of minutes and introduce yourself and your organization and the role your specific role in the organization, or if you want to pinpoint on something that your organization is doing and you want to share it with the audience. So, Dr. Vasudevan, we can start with you.
Yeah, thank you very much. You already done the introduction. So my name is Dr. Vasudevan. So I'm the Chief General Manager of Varanasi Smart City. And as all of you know, India has started that smart city mission in 2015. And there are 100 smart cities in India, 10 in Uttar Pradesh. So we are lucky to be selected as Varanasi, one of the smart cities. And it happens, Varanasi has its own geopolitical importance, as you all know, is the Prime Minister's parliamentary constituency. So it was my privilege to head that organization and execute quite a number of projects. In fact, each smart city has been given a mandate to implement some pilot projects, so which could become the lighthouse for the entire country and other cities to follow. So we were given a mandate of 1,000 crores, 500 crores from the state and 500 from the central government. So it was a challenge, I would say, in Varanasi. I'm going to talk about it little later in the question and answer. So
Sure.
It was a very old heritage city, and we want to use modern technologies like digital twin and cutting edge information technology tools. So how we blended both and how we made it solve the city's problems. So that was a big challenge. So it was quite an enriching experience. So we'll talk about it as the opportunity and question and answer comes. Thank you.
Sure. Dr. Roy.
Yeah, thank you again. My name is Roy. I am the Associate Vice President of Pinnacle Infotech. We are a company which specializes in we implement BIM and digital twin solutions. We have implemented both Autodesk, that is Autodesk Tandem Digital Twin, as well as the iTwin, and we'll be talking about that as we go along in the presentation. What actually, and I take a few sentences out of what Tita said. The great thing about digital twin and why we are talking here is that construction sector, transportation sector, these are traditionally very hard to abate sectors, and that is why digital twin and its promise of sustainability, promise of carbon capture, carbon accounting, this gives us a different way of looking at it. So that is why I find this interaction very, very something to look forward to, and I hope everybody can join in this interaction. Looking forward to the session once again.
Right. So I'll start with the questions, but before that, just a quick announcement to all the audience members. In case you have any questions, do type in your questions in the chat box, and if time persists, we'll definitely circle back to those questions and check with our panelists. So I'll start my first question with Dr. Roy. So in terms of the design, so since your organization is primarily focusing on BIM, implementing BIM solutions, and in the design part of project delivery, so how do digital twins fundamentally is helping you improve the design accuracy? And if you'd like to pinpoint a few of the type of errors that that basically digital twin helps to mitigate especially in collaborative projects. Dr. Roy, you're not audible.
Apologies. So I'll be starting this thing by going a bit backwards, and by trying to explain to the audience that what are the different stages of digital twin, because it is not that in every stage you get the benefits that we're going to talk about. So the first stage is the foundational twin, where you create a as-built BIM model. You can do that by conducting the digital scan of an already existing asset and validate and update that in a BIM model. So here there are certain benefits, because you are actually seeing whether, say for example, a motor or a pump, and which is going to the wherever the pump is flowing. So you can actually visualize how many bends are there, and you can optimize that and optimize your pump design. It's a simple, I think, low hanging fruit that you can look at when you build a foundation twin. The second thing is, and that's where it starts getting interesting, is where you go into a descriptive twin, where you start tagging the assets with the unique IDs. So all your assets, be it an HVAC system, be it your air conditioners, be it your pumps, your motors, you start tagging them, and you start looking at all your assets, and then the maintainability comes in. So you try to optimize on your maintainability. You see the asset health, and that is another way of taking benefits out of the descriptive twin. The third level is the integrated twin, where all these twins, they talk to each other. Okay, so you have IoT sensors in your assets, and they start. So you start measuring each of them, whether how much electricity is, water consumption. You start measuring them inside your digital twin. So that's where your third wave of savings or design optimization comes in. And the third and fourth are the most important things, and we'll talk most in details of that, is the predictive kind of twins, where you start integrating AI ML models. And then you have the prescriptive twins, where you do scenario planning, you do predictive maturity, what's going to happen next, automate your CMS ticket generation, automate your maintainability. So between predictive twin and prescriptive twin are where most of the benefits accrue in the carbon and the sustainability space, and we're going to talk about that. So I hope I've
Yes, thank you. Thank you for your
full-fledged digital twin. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Vasudevan, in your address, you mentioned a bit about the challenges that you will be talking about. So my next question is pertaining to that. So if you can share with us what were the most significant challenges, in terms of adopting digital twins, or maybe other digital technologies as well, or digital solutions, especially in the planning and the design part of it. The challenges can be technical, cultural, or financial, and how are you addressing them?
Well, it's a very interesting question, and let me answer it like this. The challenges can be categorized into three types. For that, any organization, for any governance or any city, any business. So we can classify the challenges into technical challenges, cultural changes, and financial challenges.
Right.
And let me elaborate on each one of them. Technical challenges are the most critical and important ones. Uh, I would first say the outline of that, then I will give a little bit elaboration on each one of them. So data complexity and quality for digital twins. Because digital twins rely on vast amount of data, so it is very complex to manage and ensure accuracy and accessibility. This is the first aspect of a technical challenge. And system integration. We would be dealing with a number of systems as well as on legacy data. So a robust IT infrastructure and planning is required to integrate these two, the live data coming and the legacy data, because this is the next important challenge in the technical side. Scalability, because we will be dealing with multiple projects, multiple organization. So any solution on digital twin has to be scalable. So that is the next challenge. And today's world, cyber security, another important critical challenge. So every day we keep reading about, all kind of cyber security breaches. So how to ensure this vast amount of data, which we use for the digital twin from the cyber attack, is also another important crucial challenge. And because it is a live modeling of the live data to the real-time data processing, because it needs a very strong IT infrastructure, for example, the processing power and bandwidth, and which all organizations do not currently have, and they need to proportionately augment it. So that is the next challenge. And long-term sustainability, you could put a one-time capex and create an IT infrastructure, but how do you sustain it? Because there are this maintenance and sustainability is also a challenge. In terms of cultural challenge, for like any other information system, change resistant to change, and the change management is a challenge. And the lack of awareness, people don't know what the benefits digital twins can bring. Creating that awareness and building education is the next challenge. And there is a lot of skill gaps. So you don't have the skill sets at every organization at every level. So building the skill gap is another cultural challenge. In terms of financial challenge, the initial cost is pretty high, because you need to go in for good IT infrastructure, data storage, sensors, and computing power. So generally, the CFOs then simply approve of a project like this, because if you look at the ROI, it may not come readily, because it is a long-term sustainable goal and long-term beneficial organization. So these are the cultural challenges, the financial challenges, and if you look at the ROI, then long-term maintenance is also, apart from the capex, the opex is also a challenge. So these are the challenges any organization faces. So no wonder in Varanasi we face the same challenges. But luckily we could, the financial capex portion was not a big problem for us. We could easily come up. But a lot of other cities who don't have a financial support from the center or state will have this issue. And the business organization also had to need the ROI with the financial challenge. Thank you.
Right. Thank you. Coming back to Dr. Roy, so we have seen, in terms of the evolution, in terms of technology advancements, over the last few decades, there has been a lot of change from the traditional, paper-based drawings. We moved into the 2D, ecosystem, which is the CAD ecosystem. From there, we moved on to BIM ecosystem, and now the digital twins. So how do digital twins in in your opinion, how it is complementing or disrupting the existing workflows like BIM? And my follow-up question will be, what technical, practical steps are you ensuring for seamless integration?
Titas, I had lost you. Is this question for me? Could you just hello?
Yeah, shall I repeat the question again?
Yeah. So if you see, Pinnacle as a company, we have implemented digital twins in various places, in commercial places, as well as in our own campus. In Madurai, we have both the digital twin platforms. So I'll be talking a bit about the challenges that we faced, and I'll be broadly classifying them into data related challenges, where data quality and quantity, the manufacturer sharing the data, their barrier, the data integration or the cross system mapping, and the real time data, the amount of data is there. You have to have the capability to handle that data. Second thing that you said is that how against standard systems, it changes the workflow. The
Yeah.
same, but the thing is that the model fidelity has to be 100%. That means that the as built, the model that you have, and this is a challenge we find a lot of times in our and the rest of the other challenges are whether you have the computational resources, have you have a team which validates and verifies all the changes that come up with the model. And the most important, last but the most important thing, where the digital twin has a set of challenges a bit different, that is your skill gap, the cultural change to buy a digital twin. And obviously, this is something I think we'll talk later, that what is the ROI of investing into the digital twin? These are the other challenges that I look at while you are implementing digital twin, both whether you are doing it in your own facility or whether you are doing it in your client's facility. I think these are the important. I hope I've answered your question, Titus.
Yes. Yeah. So just a follow-up question, since you mentioned about the ROI of implementing digital twins. So how do you go about calculating it? And in terms of ROI calculation, how do you go about that specifically in terms of digital twin? Dr. Roy, did you get my question?
Yeah, Titus, I think there's some yeah, I think I'm facing a bit of challenge. Could you just repeat your question on the ROI? Yeah, I'd love to answer that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was wondering that since you mentioned in your last comment that the importance of ROI. So how are you going about calculating ROI? Because it is kind of very important when you want to convince a client about why you should implement digital twin in their project. So how do you go about calculating ROIs? That is my question.
Yeah, and see, that is where, on a practical level, when you talk about ROI, I think a different set of people than what we are usually accustomed to in our digital workflow comes in. That is the FMs, the facility
Right.
managements and their KRAs. Okay, so when we implement a digital twin, we have to understand their KRAs and what are the cost
Right.
savings that implementing the digital twin can give to their KRAs, how their KRAs are benefited. And the whole digital twin KRA rests on two, three things. One is the ROI based on facility management KRAs, the ROI based on sustainability, and the ROI based on reporting. How you are doing carbon reporting, how are you doing like in carbon reporting. Just to give an example, today in carbon reporting, now you can integrate BIM with these sustainability tools like LCA, one-click LCA, or the Sphera tools, or EC3. And what could be done in 6 months can be done in 6 days. So these are certain ROIs which are embedded in when you are implementing digital twin and coordinating with the LCA tools which are already there. Just to give you an example.
Right. Right. Thank you. Dr. Basudevan, so I'll get back to you now. And this is a bit of a technical question. So since in terms of the designing part of the digital twin, so how can the simulation and visualization tools within digital twins, how it is driving sustainable design decisions? For example, energy efficiency, material optimization. If you can shed some light on that.
Yeah, Thank you. It's again a very interesting questions. So we need to understand the very objective of having a digital twin is not just managing the day-to-day problems. It is basically it is leading to sustainable design decisions. So both in terms of energy efficiency, material optimization,
Right.
and product performance, and how the project or the material used will be environment friendly, how the resources used are leading to economy or sustainability. So these are a number of factors. I will little bit elaborate on each one of them.
Sure.
Because a digital twin allows designer to create the virtual prototypes of the products or systems. So it allows us to experiment with different materials, different designs, and different configurations without the need to create a physical prototype. That is the first advantage of having a digital twin.
Right.
Energy efficiency and energy optimization is one of the biggest challenge for the entire world. So the energy, whichever form of energy we use, we need to conserve and use it to the minimum without compromising on the outcome. So digital twin is an excellent tool for simulating energy flows and interactions with a product or a system. And designers can easily identify the improvement and optimize the energy consumption and create more energy efficient designs. Again, I talked about the material. So material optimization is another important and useful aspect of the digital twin. We can use different materials and simulate and find out. So what is the cost? What is the environmental impact? So what are the other effects or outcome using different materials? That is also another one of the possibility.
Right.
So the advantage of this digital twin is we can do an assessment for the entire life cycle, starting from the design stage, the initial years. So on the maintenance period, after 5 years, 10 years, you will be able to simulate all of them throughout the life cycle of the product or object, and we'll be able to give an assessment. So the decision is data driven. So there is a predictive maintenance and optimization. There is a real-time monitoring tools we can plug in, and with all the real-time data and simulate and see that. So we can enhance collaboration with other stakeholders. So you can, on the whole, accelerate the entire development process. So these are the advantages it gives for sustainable design. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Dr. Roy, would you like to add to this?
I'll give you an example. I mean, we are doing a particular project with an university. So that university has various building units. They are called typologies. Okay. So they are putting in with the digital twin and also the material, like sir said, the material carbon intensity of the material. You can predict which size of the flats or the dwellings into what material you are using gives us the most sustainable uh, dwelling in that place, given the same kind of plus minus family members. Okay, so that is what they are simulating. Why it becomes
Right.
important is most of these digital twin platforms are now integrated with, like I said, this one-click LCA, where all these carbon LCA models are already there, and also the recent ones of Spera or the other LCA models, where certain AI ML predictive models are also there, can be used. So you can have
Right.
any material, use these LCA models where the lifetime carbon footprint is given, and put it into a digital twin. So it gives you, for your particular dwelling, what exactly is the material intensity of the carbon emission you are looking over a life cycle, just to exactly what sir said.
Understood. You briefly mentioned about AI ML. So my next question to you, Dr. Roy, is with Pinnacle's focus on being on big and digital workflows, how do you see AI and ML augmenting digital twins, especially from a predictive design analytics, and also what steps should firms take today? Different firms like you should take today to prepare their teams for these converging technologies?
So just to add to it, I give you an example. Today, uh, it is not only the primary IoT sensors, but various other things like visual analytics to find if the floor is wet or the wall has become damp. Even these kind of analytics are being fed into your digital twin model for predictive analysis. Okay, and this is where these might be low-lying AI ML platforms, but most of these sustainability tools have a lot of AI ML to predict that what will happen if you substitute this particular machine with another machine or use some other material. So a lot of AI ML predictive analysis or prescriptive analysis is being fed into our digital twin platforms, so that
Right.
even at the design stage, you have the capability to see that which is the best material suited, which is the best material, which is the best equipment, which is suited to your particular use and to your particular environment. I think that is something which, if we think that we will do digital twins starting from the design phase, I think these are certain things which can give you the benefits as you go on over the life cycle. And that is why I think, Titas, when you in your last presentation,
Yeah.
the Singapore city head said that no, over 50% I can get benefits out of. That's a huge number. When a head of a city like Singapore says that over 50% increase in sustainability, that comes as a huge number to anybody. I mean, and everybody should, cities in India should learn from that kind of numbers.
Right. Thank you. Dr. Vasudevan, I'll come back to you. So we all already know that Varanasi Smart City, they have pioneered a lot of tech-driven urban projects. So my question is, how have these digital tools and other innovative solutions, this has improved collaboration between agencies? Because we know that Varanasi is a very old city, traditional, so basically there is a need for heritage preservation, but there is also need for modern infrastructure rebuilding. So how is this basically, how is digital tools, or how digital twins and other digital tools, how it is improving this collaboration between the agencies?
Well, I already mentioned it was a challenge, but
Yeah.
let me give few examples of what type of use case we have done. Uh, so, as you all know, Varanasi is considered as one of the oldest cities in the world. Some say 3,000 years, some say 5,000 years. So, as the glory of its age and heritage is so high, and proportionately high is the challenges for the civic agencies, challenges for the urban designers and planners. So, like Varanasi is very famous for streets, or I can't call them streets, gullies, we call in the Indian context, 2.5 to 3 feet wide. And below that, all kind of services are running, from fiber optics to water supply to sewerage to electricity cable, and people walk on it, people drive motorcycle on it. Everything happens through those narrow gullies. There are hundreds and thousands of such narrow lanes in city, and that kind of physical infrastructure, but that is age old city. So that is the beauty of the city. So with that type of city, how we have used the technology, cutting edge technologies like digital twins, without compromising the heritage and spiritual characteristics of the city, has been quite a good challenge. Let me give an example. So
Right.
when we took the projects for smart city, we were focusing on, we should not disrupt the city's activities, the flow of tourists or the heritage characteristics. Same time, we should put all kind of technologies to make the problems disappear or facilitate the tourist. So one example is, there used to be 40 to 50,000 tourists coming to Varanasi each day earlier, mainly tourists visiting Kashi Vishwanath temple. Now
Right.
nowadays 1.5 to 2.5 lakh visitors come each day, and occasionally it goes up to 5 lakhs, 6 lakhs, 7 lakhs on special occasions.
Right.
Now crowd management has been one of the serious challenges for both the civic administration and as well as the city police. So what we could do. So luckily we had a advanced surveillance system where we could have 3,500 high resolution cameras put all over the city, linked to a data center, and we could have a live streaming of the video. So we use this crowd video and use all kind of analytical tools and artificial intelligence tools and mapped it on the top of a digital twin of the city, which we created by creating a 3D GIS, LiDAR mapping and aerial mapping. So we created a 3D GIS, superimposed this with a live data streaming from the cameras, and we have created applications for the crowd management. And this, with that application, the civic administration is able to decide where to put the portable toilets, where to create water dispensers. The police is able to put where to divert the traffic. And this happens on a live basis, especially when there is a huge crowd. This is one use case where crowd management has been managed nicely using the digital twins.
Right.
Another reason for people to come to Varanasi is to visit the river Ganges. And the Kasi has 84 ghats between the river Varuna and the sea. And millions of people throng that. And there is a problem. The river Ganges, which is at 54 meters high in summer, rises as much as 76 to 76 meters high. There is a difference of 24 meters of difference. The water rises so high and fast during rainy seasons, and flooding and inundating and waterlogging a large part of the area around the riverbeds. This has been a problem, and the city administration or the district administration used to vacate the people, stop the boat operations, everything, but there was no scientific basis. What we have done, we have integrated the live data coming from the Central Water Commission on the digital twin model, and we have simulated the flood. If the height increases by another meter, what will be the area? Now the district administration and police is able to predetermine and keep monitoring. So now they don't have to evacuate everybody in advance, stop the operations totally. So they are able to plan it. So there is also a forecast we are able to do what will be the water level next 1 day, 2 day, 1 week. So we are able to manage the flood control around the riverbed using the digital twin. This has been another case. So these are just two cases which I cited, and the possibilities are endless because we have a Kasi integrated command and control center where the entire city data is emerging in a digital form. There we have integrated this digital twin also. Now any use case on the fly also, on an emergency also, we will be able to simulate and find an answer, solve the city's problem. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for sharing such great examples, case examples. Dr. Roy, my next question is to you, and it's from a very business point of view. So I'd like to understand that what is the maturity, like the maturity in terms of like the digital maturity of your clients, and how do you convince clients to invest in digital twins? And if there are any technical gaps, for example, interoperability or data security, which basically need urgent attention for scalable integration.
Yeah. So to explain, yes, thank you for the question. To explain that, I would just very quickly take you through the onboarding process in a digital twin platform. So the first part is the data execution.
Dr. Roy, we lost you. We're not able to hear you. Can you hear us? I think we are facing some technical issues. I'll quickly get back to Dr. Vasudevan. We had a question, a very interesting question from the audience, and this is in terms of the skill gaps. So this is Dr. Nitin Barud, Assistant Professor, Department of Civil Engineering. He's asking, that to create skilled engineers for the AC industry, how can the AC industry support educational institutions in teaching BIM digital twin technologies for sustainable practices? And how can universities collaborate with industry partners to provide hands-on BIM training? Is there any possibility of a industry, industry and academia collaboration? How do you look at it?
Absolutely. I think we have collaborated with IIT BHU and IIT Kanpur at Varanasi because these institutions are nearby. And we
Right.
have collaboration with these institutions on several other things related to our smart city projects. So I always advocate that there should be a industry academia collaboration and involvement. And so we have been trying to do a little bit by bringing the students of IIT BHU to our campus and exposing them to different projects, especially the IT related projects, because they don't often, because the physical infrastructure still, people get several opportunities in a city like Varanasi to have the high tech IT projects. So we always expose the students and faculty. They have been regular visitors. Addition to that, we have a MOU with the IIT BHU also on several other collaborative efforts. But that is not sufficient, in my opinion. And
Right.
the academics always have their own priority. Basically, when we want them, probably they say that our examinations are going on, so our students are not available, faculty is not available. Anyway, given all the constraints, a lot of collaboration is possible, and training of the staff at the academic institutions who are providing the best training and knowledge. So that is also possible. It need to enhance, and I would request that all the policy should, government should bring a policy to make it compulsory. It should not be just a matter of interns or internal training. This academia industry cooperation, or they could have a collaboration with the municipal corporations and development authorities. There should be a permanent kind of MOU on the existing system. I think the policy initiative and push should come from the government and the urban development departments. Then it is possible. Right now, it is happening at the initiative of very few people. That's my opinion.
Right. Thank you. Thank you for summing it up so beautifully. Dr. Roy, can you hear us?
Yes, yes. I'm sorry, I had a technical. I was just out of
Yeah.
the meeting. Yes. Yeah.
No,
Please
no
tell
issue.
me. Yeah.
No issue. Yeah. So, would you like to complete your answer? Do you want me to ask the question again?
No, no. Yeah, no, I understood. So
Yeah.
see, like all new technologies, I think way. Like all new technologies, this has its set of challenges, which is mainly, as Sir was saying, the skill gap which is there. Most of the companies are, and we also work with the companies to educate them as we onboard them into the digital twin process. The companies also, through this 3 months of hand-holding, understand what exactly is the skills they need. So they grow it
Right.
internally or inorganically, organically. And I think skill is the most important thing. And the awareness of the digital budget. I mean, when you go ahead, everything needs a budget for the continued operation. So these are the
Right.
two challenges I feel: awareness of the right kind of skill which is available. You train your existing resources or get now you please onboard resources from outside, and the cost of running this operation, on this platform. I think are the two
Right.
challenges when we go ahead for implementing the digital.
Right. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Roy. I think we are almost done with the time for this session. So just before we end this session and move to the next very interesting session, I would like both of our panelists to give their closing remarks. Take a couple of minutes maybe, and also if you could give one actionable recommendation to the professionals who are about to or just starting their digital twin journey, then what would it be? Dr. Vasudevan, you can go first.
Yeah. If you want me to give a recommendation or suggestion to professionals starting the digital journey, I would say it is a three-step process. Focus on the value. you must align your organization goals and the business strategy with what you want to do with the digital twin, why we want to do the digital twin. Identify the high impact opportunities, what it would bring, what it will change, what value additions it will bring to the business or the organizations. And also identify the use cases. Just don't create a digital twin of a product or a city or a process just for the sake of it, fun of it, because it is high tech, unless you identify how will I use it and what benefit, what problems I can solve. So these are the three starting points. Then don't ignore the stakeholders.
Right.
Digital twin never work with one organization, one entity. You have to identify the stakeholders and involve them from the very beginning. Take their views, take their viewpoint, take their problems, identify the problem statements. Then you are able to justify, and that is how the journey should begin, in my opinion. Thank you.
Understood. Thank you. Dr. Roy. Dr. Roy, are you there with us? Can you hear us? I think there is some technical difficulties again.
I'm there back.
Yeah,
I'm having a
please,
on
please
and off.
go ahead.
Yeah.
No
Yeah,
worries.
so I think like Titas on your last, where countries like Singapore and city countries came in and talked about the. I think we are champions in sustainability, and digital twin will be the right platform to make our hard to abate sectors also champions in sustainability. Align ourselves with our the national goal of sustainability, especially coming from construction. We understand these are hard to abate sectors. So I think the interest that you are generating, the interest that we see in this kind of seminars is the right way forward. I mean, and that is how we'll meet the national net zero goals, by implementing digital twin in all our infrastructure assets. I fully believe in that.
Right. Thank you. I think with this, we come to the end of this session. Thank you, Dr. Vasudevan. Thank you, Dr. Roy, for joining us. I really appreciate this, and also the insights that you have shared with us over the last 45 minutes. We'll now quickly move on to the next session. It's another interesting session. And I would hand over the screen space to the moderator of this session, Mr. Kalwan Karamitov. He's the Gate City Living Lab Manager, Sofia University, Bulgaria. So over to you, Mr. Kalwan.
Hello. First of all, thanks for having me as a moderator of this panel. Here in Sofia, we are also developing a digital twin of the city. So it's a topic that is on my and on my organization's work for the last maybe 2 or 3 years. So I'm very happy to host this panel. In this panel, we have 3 very distinguished professionals working in the digital transformation, digital twin field. We have Mr. Kendall Wilson from Modon, who has experience and worked before in Meta and in Google. We have with us Mr. Steve Brown, who is head of digital twins at Sweco, one of the leading consultants in architecture and engineering in Sweden. And he's also director and principal consultant at Sakai Digital Twin. And the third panelist is Hesham Gamal Ghaffar, who is the digital twin lead in Esri, Saudi Arabia. As we know, Esri is an industry leader in GIS technologies all over the world. So we'll start the session with Mr. Kendall Wilson, and my question towards him will be, Mr. Wilson, you were part of Meta, and you led multiple business intelligence initiatives. Could you share with us some inspiring projects and challenges that you have overcome with these projects?
appreciate the opportunity to participate in such an esteemed panel. I would say one of the first things we did was, we started off as digital twin, but we ended up with digital transformation. Part of that digital transformation was being able to tie a digital thread throughout our ecosystem. So if I were to simplify, my basic metric at the very beginning was 3 clicks, 45 seconds, and that I should be able to reach any data point within that time frame. If we start to think of that practically, if you think of Netflix, if you think of Amazon, you can always get to 3 clicks or 45 seconds to that pair of shoes or whatever it is you're interested in. So we started to build out that digital thread. We used multiple platforms to do that, and we had some wonderful integrations, some APIs, and some middleware. So it's basically trying to understand the interfaces and understanding from cradle to grave, what does your tech stack look like? How many platforms do you need? And then what data needs to move across those platforms in order to be able to access it throughout the life cycle. Thank you.
Thank you. And before that, we were writing that you had experience in meta specifically with digital twins and GIS or GIS based technologies. Could you share experience with integrating digital twins and GIS based platforms as we are yet a geospatial panel here? What is your experience in these spatial technologies?
Sure. So there's multiple ways that you can get into the geospatial space, right? I think we can all agree that Esri would be the baseline technology for that all platforms sit on. And then whatever tech stack you put on top of that, that will be how you'll integrate your geospatial. It's quite fortunate that if you're coming out of Revit or Navisworks, you're going to have some geospatial built into the actual BIM model from the start. So actually, if you make that initial connection between those two, that's what we did. We pulled in the Revit model, and that Revit model had the geospatial referencing in it already. Now, this is only going to get you for what you have in your BIM model. This won't get you when you move into your public realm or things that are outside of the BIM model. Within, like, say, horizontal assets, for one, trees. When you start to move into infra, the roads and things like that, they may not be geo-reference spaced. So then what you have to do after that point is you can use drone, or you can use augmented reality. When I was at Meta, we specifically used augmented reality. So once an asset that was outside of the BIM model wasn't geo-referenced, we used augmented reality to do a physical scan, have a person or persons walk throughout the site at multiple times. They would then take a scan, and within that scan, you'd get your data points, and that would be your geo-reference points. And then those would be automatically integrated into your overall federated model, which then pushed over into the geospatial platform that we were using. Thank you.
Thank you for the answer. This is a really emerging technology, and in the built environment, BIM is becoming crucial. The architecture industry up until recently relied on complicated drawings, and for the last maybe 10-15 years, at least the major firms have transitioned towards BIM models. And I'm moving with this to Mr. Steve Brown. You have experience in business transformations, especially in the build, where that is, let's say, world and industry that tackles the physical environment, and the physical environment is not that easily changed as the IT and the IT sector, and especially combining these digital transformations in the built environment, it may have some challenges. Could you share your experiences with business transformations in the built environment industry?
Yeah, absolutely. First, I just want to say thank you for having me on this event. So I'm pleased to be here. I've got two sets of experience here. So there's my prior experience before Sweco, where I was doing a lot of Industry 4.0 and using digital twins and data aggregation methodologies to drive business transformation and make differences in business processes. And I would say there we're a lot further ahead in taking advantage of data science, of data aggregation, and tools like digital twin. In the built world, in the architecture world, the AEC world, as we often call it, or ACE, then it's nowhere near as advanced. You know, we still rely very heavily on ad hoc processes through there that are governed by regulation rather than by systematic approaches. So a lot depends on the tools that you're using in the particular configuration of the project that you're driving. And what I mean by that is it depends on the local authority that's involved with the say the urban planning process for a particular part of a city or a new industrial area. It relies on the contractors that are engaged and their maturity, and then the type of buildings you're building and how regulated they are in there. But it is changing. So we tend to use digital twins to up our own process maturity. So we've used twins like iTwin with the Bentley processes when we're using ProjectWise on a project, and that's worked quite nicely on a number of projects. But we don't use them, we don't sell them to the client. We use them for ourselves, and these are what I would call tactical digital twins that help us optimize our own processes and mean that we use less consultant hours to do the same job, which means we can be more competitive and reduce our costs and still make a little bit more profit. Where we work with the Sekai digital twin is usually when it's a larger industrial plant, some sort of plant processing in there. And again, there the processes are far more mature and are transformed, and they're ready. They're more ready to move ahead. But I would say that we've taken baby steps so far. The BIM standards has really helped get everybody's attention focused on the IM part, the information management part of it. The B is sort of inconsequential almost in the fact it happens to be information around buildings, but it's often infrastructure outside of the buildings, the water supplies, all of those sorts of things, as well as the building themselves. And here the state of the art is that we're doing BIM coordination. We aren't really aggressively using things like digital twins. So we always have a hassle bringing data together, and that means they're not as optimized as they could be. There's a lot of room for improvement, but there are a lot of bodies around that are driving this. In Sweden, we've got a digital twin hub forming from the government, headed by a company called Rise, a research organization. In the UK, we've got the digital twin hub that's been the sort of next version from what was called CDBB, Centre for Digital Built Britain, that I've worked with. They've now become the Digital Twin Hub, and they're starting to mandate BIM and really aggressively look at digital twins for optimizing. In Gothenburg, where I've been working, we've got DTCC, the Digital Twin Cities Centre, that is pushing, but it's still a lot of talk everywhere. There's not as much action as there should be. So the processes have still got a long way to go, and I'm hoping that events like this can help people understand, actually, as long as you get the right attitude, the right strategy, that you can really make a difference, and you can really transform your processes and transform the outcomes.
Well, you mentioned DTCC. Our institute is working actually with them on the digital twin, especially here in Sofia and they in Gothenburg.
Yeah.
And as far as I see, actually the technology is becoming, let's say, easier to work with, but the real implementation of digital twins in the operations of the city, of the real world city, is actually that is taking longer time than anticipated, and it's easier to analyze something, predict some outcomes of this analysis, or let's say the change in transportation system, but then the actual physical change in the real world city is taking place. So do you have experience with this kind of
yes,
transformations between the technologies and actual policymakers and decision makers?
So, policymakers, that's the one. I was over at an event in the UK last week that was really interesting. We were doing a whole bunch of workshops, and I kept coming back to policy. because often policy is totally overlooked. It's very focused on the technology, and policy is the big changer, and that's what the Digital Twin Hub in the UK is focused quite a lot on, is how to help government make better policy and how to make local authorities make better policy, because normally the central government, certainly in Sweden and in the UK, is controlling the legislation that forms the framework that you build things under. Whereas the local authority is actually where the execution starts to happen. So the problem is that you end up with the I would say the high level plans, the outline plans or the master plans for an area that are disconnected from where the rubber hits the road, where the contractors are building transport hubs, where they're building infrastructure under the ground, water, electric, and things like that, and where the entrepreneurs are building their buildings on top of all of that. They're a long way apart, and there's very little continuity between those things. And I've seen that starting to happen in niches, but not systematically. And that's what I say. We in the energy space, I've done quite a lot with operational digital twins, but in the building space, the digital twins that we've worked with are ones that we've done ourselves. Sweco has a platform called Twinfinity that is for facilities management that some of the big building operators are using to manage their buildings at the operational side, but it's sort of discrete. It's for them to take up, and they run it completely independently. They're tactical. They're not strategic. It's not joined up with all the external data for when they made the building. And often that's because when they started, the buildings didn't have the nice 3D. The buildings have been around a lot longer than the 3D data has, and often it's just floor plans. There's no idea where all the electrics are. You do have an idea if you're the electrician and worked on that building, but otherwise it becomes difficult sometimes to know. So there's a lot of things that need to happen in this space, and I would say, if you go back to the UK, if you look at what happened with the Grenfell fires there, and the building that burnt down and killed 70 odd people, that's changing people's minds about what they need to do with information around buildings. What do we need to know? How do we need to keep a better, closer eye on it? And that's where I think digital twins will start coming into the built world on the operational level, is because the fire services need access to very accurate, up-to-date, latest information if there is an event at those buildings. And one of the only ways you can do that, really, I think, is digital twins, because you're bringing data together from many different source systems that don't have place to aggregate data. So the only place I can see where you can bring that together is the digital twin, really.
Yeah, thanks for this answer. It's really a difficulty to actually implement the technology, and as you said, maybe there are certain projects that could be made of an example, a successful example of how to deal with this with the physical world projects, and especially the large scale projects. They're a perfect example of let's say combining the GIS world and the BIM, and Esri has a lot of experience in this, and I'm transitioning towards Mr. Ghaffar with these questions. Could you share some of your experience with how to actually combine the GIS and the BIM in the real world examples, and especially in large scale projects? If you have worked on certain projects that you could share with us the challenges with them, and actually the positive outcomes, and how you dealt with some of the challenges.
Thank you for a great question. Thank you for having me today. Hello everyone, my name is Hisham. I'm leading the digital twin for the built environment and smart city side of things. And regarding your question, Esri has its own approach when it comes to defining digital twins. So digital twins starts with a GIS-based city scale model, as my colleague mentioned. So what we refer to as a geospatial digital twin. This isn't just about buildings. It's about understanding how assets interact, across an entire environment. And that starts with what we call a descriptive twin. If, like my colleague mentioned, everything starts with digital thread. So the thread or the maturity level or whatever we call it starts with a descriptive twin. And the descriptive twin is a foundational layer made possible through the integration of GIS and BIM, and not just GIS and BIM. We're thinking about a digital twin for a city scale model, as I mentioned. So we need to include as well different other different data sources like point cloud data, information like from drones, from satellite images, from maybe photogrammetry. So this integration forms a rich, especially accurate digital representation for the built environment. Without this, you simply cannot scale because this is like the foundational layer. But once it's in place, you can begin moving up to up the maturity curve or the digital thread from descriptive to informative twin with real-time sensors, with real-time feed. So you cannot get information just to push it in a web page or just a table information. You need to understand, because the special nature of our industry, that we cannot work with sheets, we cannot work with tabular information. We need to understand the relation, the spatial and geometrical relation between different elements in the project or in the city. So having this descriptive twin, moving to the informative twin, having all the ready to have the real-time sensors and the feed from real-time sensors, making it more live, and having all of this data from the BIM, GIS, and other scattered different data sources, as well, making it living with the real-time information. We can use this to make the predictive twin using the advanced analytics of ArcGIS, like AI, machine learning, or even we can use it for simulations. As my colleague mentioned, you can use your GIS-based digital twin with all these different data sources for not just predicting what could happen, but simulating as well, because you have like historical data, the existing data, and maybe some different information. So you can have this simulation in immersive experience. It could be like on the traditional web scene, or using a VR headset, or even augmented reality. And eventually toward autonomous twins, which is the goal, that support adaptive operations and self-learning systems. So for life cycle management, this foundation enables everything from asset tracking, maintenance, to forecasting and optimization. And the key enabler is always connected, geospatially or context-aware data or model. Yeah.
So yeah, you mentioned that collecting data from the real world and integrate it into the digital twin is one of the crucial types of let's say the integration, data integration is crucial for the digital twin development.
Yeah.
Do you have a certain sensors or IoT technology that you have used, and that you can give examples of how to maybe what are the most interesting sensors, let's say, that you have worked with?
Yeah.
And how you integrated it into the digital
Great.
twins?
Great, thank you. So we have a couple of softwares that are dedicated to get the real-time information from the sensors. So Esri is more into the technology part. So we provide the the enablement to have the geospatial digital twin, having all of the information in one place, and using these products, which is ArcGIS Geo Event or ArcGIS Velocity. And the difference is just the hosting, whatever. If you need it on-prem, if you need it on cloud, this what will affect your choice if you will use each one of those. This software enables the integration with IoT sensors. So whenever you have a sensor in its location, and once something happens, these systems enables getting the information or the feed once it happens. So the hardware is just one system that we can integrate with through ArcGIS. So as I believe we all know that the digital twin is a system of systems. So this is our approach in Esri, to be open for different integrations and to have different ways to contain more types of information. And when it comes to real-time information, we have dedicated products for this aim, ArcGIS Velocity and ArcGIS Geo Event, that enables getting the information, the notification once it happens in the real time into the system, into the systems viewed on a dashboard or a scene viewer or the map.
Well, yeah, visualizing data and actually visualizing insights is something that is extremely important, especially for the circling back to the decision makers, because they don't have time to deal with all of the databases and tables and numbers. They need everything translated into insights, and of course with strong arguments behind these insights. And I'm circling to back to Mr. Wilson, because I know you have experience with actually this type of creating digital dashboards and insights. How do you, what is your process, and how do you define which is important and what is not? And do you tailor the solutions towards the type of stakeholders that you're working? What is the most important actually behind creating this insights dashboard?
Sure. Well, first, let's define it. Data-driven decision making. This is one of the phrases that's been used and is becoming more important as we move forward. We want to move away from subjective analysis and move more towards objective analysis. So we want to be able to provide the data points. And when we're building out a dashboard, there's something that I created that's called periodichotomy. It's an overall list of holistic digital transformation ISO specifications. Within that, there are, I believe, 6 ISO specifications that are zoning in on human-computer interaction. So the first thing I would look at is I would pull some of the principles and some of the metrics out of those ISO specifications to begin to create the framework. And then I would move over to other ISO specifications, let's say the 8000 series for data quality, and I would begin to do my data modeling in the background. Do that before we get to the pretty pictures in the front, right? Because often someone builds a dashboard and they put these pretty pie charts and these things, and they don't really think about the data modeling and the dependencies in the background. So it's very important to get the data architecture right first. Push that against ISO 8000. You can also push it against, if we're talking smart cities, there's 37166, which tells you what that data modeling should look like and runs in parallel with ISO 8000. Once you get that, if you're in something, I prefer Tableau. Oh, I should. Okay. I don't like to promote particular products, but I would say that the 2 primary ones, right, are Tableau and Power BI. Okay. These are primarily. Now, you'll have your companies, as Mr. Brown mentioned and Mr. Ghaffar mentioned, you have these companies that will make bespoke dashboards for you within their platform. But usually, I'll say usually, these are the 2 primary platforms that are used. So once you do your data modeling in the background, and normally what I would do is find out what the end user needs to see, what kind of decisions that they're making, and then I would create several dashboards, not just a singular dashboard. So I'd make an executive level dashboard. I would make a dashboard for the facilities management team. I would make one for the construction delivery team, but they could all come out of that same data architecture. So if you have that data architecture correct, it's just a matter of pulling what you need for those particular end users. Now, we also have to think about blue sky and what's next. So blue sky for me is there are no more dashboards, right? We get rid of dashboards altogether. Forget about Power BI, forget about Tableau, forget about, all these nice dashboards that people have, and move more towards natural language processing, right? So we've got enough data. We've built up enough data over time. This is much mature. You have to have a very mature system for this, and you have to have an extraordinary amount of data sources enabled to do this. But then you are just simply interrogating the data in real time. So you're interrogating the data, and then that data is being translated into either an objective narrative or a trend analysis or a pie chart or a radar diagram or whatever the case may be. Your natural language processing will allow your C-suite to ask in real time in natural language what they want to see. And usually what is done from a business intelligence standpoint is we've tried to predict, and we've created 15 different PowerPoint slides to answer what could be anticipated questions. But natural language processing with the machine learning in the background and the large language models in the background should allow us into the next 2 to 4 years, as we also move into neuromorphic AI. We kind of move out of this artificial general intelligence is where we're at now. But as we move to a more advanced state of AI, I see this as the future of business intelligence tools and visualization.
And you have worked with diverse stakeholders and with large teams in these projects for transformation. Could you share a few insights on how, or from your experience, what do you think is crucial as a leader, and what skills are important to have for the transformation process of this, to lead all of these changes?
100%. So my philosophy is 70-30. What do I mean by 70-30? 70% is EQ, emotional quotient, emotional intelligence, 30% IQ. I know a lot of smart people that have some really good ideas, but don't know how to correctly convey that and don't know how to put their spirit into it, let's say. So if you're ticking a box, that's great. But if you're trying to get funding or if you're trying to get buy-in, they need to see the enthusiasm. They need to see that you believe in it as well. So I stick with 70-30, right? We know we're all smart enough to be here. We're more than competent in our jobs. We know what digital transformation is. We know what digital twins are. But part of the reason these things fail is because of the overall transformation and how we convey it, right? For lack of a better term, sometimes we have to dumb things down, or we just have to make them digestible depending upon the audience. Another valuable tool in this is VUCA. So we know that there's change management. We know ISO provides several specifications on change management, but what is VUCA? It's another form of change management that came out of the war colleges in the 1970s in the United States. It's volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. If you can put these into buckets and understand how you're going to overcome these hurdles, obviously ambiguity, if you think of artificial intelligence, straight away, it's changing so fast, right? And if we think of digital twins, the complexity of it, as Mr. Brown says, there's multiple forms of digital twins, right? There's digital twins for visualizations. There's digital twins for operations. There's digital twins for master planning. These go across a broad spectrum. So look at these in these small buckets. Now, how did I implement this? I'll take it all the way back to what I did. So digital transformation when I was in Saudi Arabia. So when I was in Saudi Arabia, I was leading the EDMS, electronic data management, document management system, and we were in the process of digitizing all of the forms, all the way from the procurement forms to the inspection forms on site, et cetera, et cetera. So the first thing we did, of course, is we had to go into I won't say the product's name, but we had to go into the legacy system and we had to look at all of the forms, and then we had to see how we could digitize those forms. Then we had to look at the workflows. The next thing we had to do, which was quite interesting at this time, if anybody has spent any time in the Middle East, I was there during the transition, 2016, when MBZ came into power. So we had a lot of new people come into the workforce. So what we would do is we would set this up at corporate headquarters for the company that I was working with, and then we would go out on what they would call road shows. So we would go to these satellite locations and we would spend a week there. One of the key things we had to do was we had to present in English and present in Arabic, because we had to understand what our audience was. We had to slowly walk through each of the inspection forms, and then we had to make sure we walked the site, or we were with procurement throughout that process, and we allowed 1 week in order to do that. And then we circled back around in 4 weeks as well. So we were kind of on this road show, but understanding that some people, they don't digest in English. It's not their mother tongue. So it's sometimes it's really good to have someone presenting in the mother tongue, because it'll come across better. It'll show you're culturally aware, you're aware of the context, and you're aware of site operations are much different than corporate HQ operations as well. So just to circle back around, focus on VUCA, which is VUCA, focus on the 70-30 principle, which is 70% EQ or emotional intelligence and 30% IQ of your competencies and what you're capable of. And I think if you get these two things straight, you'll be able to implement digital transformation, as I did when I was in Saudi Arabia.
Okay. Well, yeah, thanks for your answers. Actually, yeah, you gave an example that maybe you may be the smartest person in the room, but if you cannot like find a connection with the person next to you and the colleagues that you're working with, it's the work is just not happening. And we have,
just to touch. If you're the smartest person in the room, find another room.
Yeah, because you don't have somebody to learn from in this case. And we're moving maybe towards the final of this panel. The time moves so fast. I think we have a very interesting conversation. I have a few questions right here in the panel that are with regards to let's say the future city. The future city, we assume it is a digital, but it's also an environmental city, a sustainable city, a city that is utilizing the nature-based solutions. And I think this question may go towards Mr. Brown. Do you have some experience with simulations of environmental factors in the digital twin of the city, and what do you consider most important environmental factors that could actually navigate and give important insights for urban planners, but from environmental perspective, not from the built environment and the architecture?
Yes, and I think my single biggest piece of advice is think very carefully where you put your transport hubs. Because if you put your transport hubs in the wrong place, they generate a lot of buildings around them. People want to live near transport hubs. They become very lucrative places to have your buildings. And if you put your transport hub in the wrong place, you might blow your carbon budget just all in the foundations of the buildings because you put it there. So I think that's my biggest single piece of advice. You don't need a digital twin to sort that out. But certainly digital twins really help. From a sort of circular city and a sustainability and a sort of a carbon footprint perspective, it gets much easier when you've got digital tools to be able to look at how are you planning to build something, whatever that thing is. And what are your alternative materials? How reusable are those materials? What am I going to do when the project's up? Or what am I going to do if it's a refurb, if it's a brownfield site? What am I going to do with the materials that are in there? Traditionally, you might have knocked it down and stuck them in a hole somewhere if you have a convenient one. Now you really need to think very carefully about where the recyclers are, how far away it is, what sort of materials I bring in. You need to give your clients options so that they can look at the different possible construction materials and what that does in terms of cost, difficulty to find people to build that stuff, and the carbon cost. really this starts to get quite complex. So the only way I believe you can do it is really having good visualizations, very good simulations, and then a good decision-making process, and then a record of what you did. And for me, I think this is where you start to get onto the future of digital twins. I believe that right now, all of the data involved in a project effectively gets archived at the end of that project, no matter what the project is, whether it's in industry or the built world. And it's very, very difficult to access that data later on. It's sat on somebody's shelf or on somebody's hard drive. And I think one of the roles of digital twins going forwards is this what I would call corporate memory or city memory, where you can keep all of the details of all of the projects. Why did we make that decision? What impact did it have? What did we think the outcome would be? And a lot of these building projects are very long life cycle projects. So we might not know the outcome for 20 years. If you don't have a record, you won't make any corporate learning unless you happen to go back and do a project to revisit that. So I think the future is going to be in this memory. What materials? Where is it? Why did we do it? What's it going to mean? So it means that when you move forward to the next round of building on that area, you've got all the information you need. And the same happens within buildings. When you do the design, you move through different levels of design until you eventually get to the subcontractors who are building stuff. And the design changes all the way through because of supply chain issues and things. So you end up with buildings that where the walls were where you meant them to be, the materials that you used were changed because you bought something off somebody else, or the pump or the actuators on the doors have been changed because of supply chain issues, and nobody really is able to follow. And I think digital twins will actually start to be mandated, because you need it for that Grenfell example I gave earlier on. You want it to be easy to get access to not just the data, but the decisions around the data. And in a city concept where safety is an issue, and we need to be continually aware of the ever-changing sort of landscape of people who own buildings, manage buildings, and change buildings, and the ever-changing regulation. There is no way to manage that complication unless you've got something like a digital twin moving forwards, and the results can be really interesting. So we've seen on the sort of pilots that have happened so far, when you do some modeling of any of those things, wind modeling, heat modeling, thermal efficiency modeling, carbon modeling, you get insights that you just weren't aware of, and it changes the outcome as long as you're data driven. And they're the best thing about digital twins is you can release those simulations from the source that you created them with. You don't need an ANSYS simulator to see the output, because you can see it in browser if you've got a digital twin. So all of these things, I think, is where we're going, and models have been really important all the way through, and they don't get any less important as we go through. But digital twins are based on models. So.
And we need, I think you answered, and you pointed out a very important action that the cities need to do, like thoroughly, like the indicators, collecting data and actually following their own indicators that most of the cities they have in their development plans, that in 5 years, in 10 years, certain changes will happen in the city, and to see whether some projects are actually working towards the direction that they're initially planned to, or they have turned against the initial ideas. And I have another question here in the chat that I would direct to Mr. Gafar, and it's regarding the simulation of rain, wind, and heat in 3D city models. Do you consider this feasible? And I can add on this question that, especially in the transportation planning, walkability is something that is often overlooked. But the last years, many cities are actually trying to implement active mobility policies, including walking and pedestrian infrastructure planning, to encourage more people to walk, to create this walkable pedestrian city. And this environmental aspects of raining and noise and air quality are actually implementing the path, the route between points in the city. How do you consider this in city models?
Yeah, great. So we're talking in noise, rain, wind, heat in 3D city models. So we're talking generally in how to or what's the feasibility of simulating different environmental aspects when it comes to digital twin, like twinning the environmental aspects. And here I can recall a project in Lima, Peru, which is the reconstruction of Lima city after they suffered from the circumstances of a tsunamic effect back in late 2016, early 2017, and of course we had to build a digital twin, of course, for building everything that was damaged. Almost most of the infrastructure was damaged. So we needed to build a new digital twin, GIS based, bringing all the BIM and design information in one place. But the crucial thing about this project that we need to consider the environmental aspect, because we have historical information from the weather back then when the disaster happened. We have our results from our machine learning algorithm and AI that predicts what could happen in the future. And of course, we have the GIS/BIM digital infrastructure or descriptive twin in one place. So bringing all the environmental information and the built environment information in one place made us and the design team especially to make a resilient and sustainable infrastructure. So this is the whole idea about the digital twin, bringing the different information in real world in one place, so you have a digital copy of the real world, so you can have a better understanding of what's happening, so you can make a better decision. And in this case was how to make the design, because it's not an ordinary design, it's a design in an area that suffered from a huge disaster like that tsunamic effect. And when it comes to this, we have different, of course, that what we mentioned about digital twin as well, something like flood simulation. So when you have a scenario in mind, like some area that might be in the danger of floods, you can do the flood simulation even before this happens, and you can have an understanding about the situation and how you can put like risk mitigation plans. So whenever something similar happens, you are ready for it. So actually, this is something important about digital twin, not just understanding the as is, not just predicting what will happen, as well being able to make plans to mitigate any future risk.
Yeah, we often, let's say, connect the machine learning and AI with predictive models and digital twin. Digital twins, as you said, there are predictive digital twins, but and I would ask maybe a final question, Mr. Brown. Do you think the digital twin and the AI will continue go hand in hand in the near future, or they will separate somehow?
I think the possibilities for AI and digital twin together are really strong. You know, typically AI is probabilistic, meaning is it sort of picks up probable insights and outcomes and things like that and tells you them. Whereas when we're in the engineering world and you're an architect, you can't be dealing with probabilistic. It's, you know, the building probably will stay up. You need to be more definitive in that. So I think the sort of bringing together of large language models and natural language processing capabilities with engineering discipline and traceability is actually where we're going to get some really good results in the built world and in the engineering world. You know, in the home, you know, chat GPT and asking questions and putting formats and reports together, they're really good things for large language models. You don't need to couple them up for digital twins for that. But if you want precise answers, and the examples we're working on at the moment are things like, you know, have I got a spare part for the water tank for this machine? You need to know what this machine is, what this configuration is, where the water tanks are originally come from, what replacements are available, whether or not it's been made obsolete, and therefore what the replacement is. They're very precise answers, but they're usually contained in many systems. So the beauty of working with a AI and large language models together with digital twin is you can reduce the scope for what is called hallucination. So I believe that this is going to be a really interesting area for development for most industries going forwards, and they won't be able to work separately as effectively as they can work together. They both don't need each other, but they're much more productive when you put them together.
Yeah, so we'll see how they will develop in the near future, and I will give the floor for final remarks to Ms. Wilson and Ms. Gafar, because I see that we are finishing the time slot for our panel. So, Ms. Wilson, something that you want to share as the last words for this panel?
Sure. For last words, I'll just touch on again period dichotomy and leaning into the ISO standards. I find a lot of companies, a lot of individuals are reinventing the wheel, as we say. There is an ISO standard that clearly outlines digital twin maturity. Most people don't know this. There is an ISO standard that clearly outlines digital transformation as well. You use that as a base, use that as your framework when you start developing these kind of things. I really, really believe in the power of ISO. It's not necessarily the single source of truth, but I believe that they have developed a set of standards, and I'd like to see ISO move for as far as digital transformation and as far as digital twins. I'd like to see the same level of credibility that's given to the ISO standards for quality and for safety. So those move into regulation. Those are placards that are put on the wall of companies. You can't even bid on projects if you don't have one or two of those. So yes, I would say lean into the ISO standards and don't just tick a box. Believe in what you're doing, right? And believe that you're going to succeed. Believe that you're going to fail, but at the end of the day, you're going to succeed. C-suite and everybody all the way down the chain can tell if you're just ticking a box, and you won't get the buy-in.
Yeah, 100%. I totally agree that we should rely on the standardization organization in general. Of course, on the top of them is ISO, and I would like to add to this that the responsibility of standardizing the processes and the data and facing the challenges of data interoperability. Not just, of course, the standardization organizations have a very important and crucial input when it comes to facing these challenges. As well, the software vendors and technology providers should work on this by, of course, complying to these standards, as well working with each other to provide systems open for integration, open for the different data sources to be, of course, standardized and to be digested in the different sources, because by the end of the day, digital twin is a system of systems. So following the ISO standards, or the standards, as my colleague mentioned, as well, the technology and software vendors, they have to work on making their technology more open for and more compliant with these standards, and that's what we are trying to do in Israel.
Thank you for the final remarks. I think this is a crucial point. That do not start from scratch, but just continue on from somebody else's work or the research that has been taken before. You don't have to do everything yourself. We are connected professionals and organizations, and as a community, we can do great things by continuing what it has already been done before it. So thank you all for being here and sharing your experience with us. And I want to thank to the audience and the interest that they have shown. Thank you for having me here in this panel. I'll give back the floor to the organizer.
Thank you, Kalwan, for moderating such a brilliant session. So as we come to the close of today's insightful session, I would like to extend my sincere gratitude to all our esteemed panelists from both the sessions for sharing their invaluable expertise and real-world experiences with us. A big thank you to all of you in the audience who who have joined us, and all for your all thoughtful questions and engagement throughout the discussion. Your participation was truly enriched, has truly enriched this conversation. As we wrap up today's rich discussion, let's take a moment to consolidate the key insights that we have uncovered about digital twins today, their transformative potential, the challenges in their adoption, as well as the actionable steps forward. We explored the different levels of digital twins, from foundational models that establish the baseline to predictive and prescriptive twins that not only forecast outcomes but also recommend optimized actions. Understanding these distinctions is extremely crucial as we implement solutions tailored to specific project needs. A recurring theme of this webinar was the importance of demonstrating clear ROI for digital twins in infrastructure projects. While the long-term benefits, they are compelling, obviously, but from a material optimization to energy efficiency. But we must also acknowledge the technical, financial, and cultural challenges that organizations face in adoption. These challenges include data silos, high initial cost, and also the need for workforce upskilling. We also delved into the practical functionalities of digital twin prototypes, seeing how they enable different functionalities like material optimization, energy efficiency, and life cycle assessment. Most importantly, our panelists shared critical suggestions for organizations embarking on their digital twin journey, such as aligning with the business strategy, clarify the need, assess organizational impact, pinpoint high-value use cases, and also create purposeful data. So where do we go from here? The insights today highlights the digital twins are not just a technological upgrade. They also represent a fundamental shift in how we conceive, build, and manage infrastructure. So for organizations who are ready to take the next step, the suggestions included, beginning with pilot projects that address clear pain points, invest in data integration and workforce training to bridge technical gaps, collaborate across industries to share best practices and accelerate learning. At Geospatial World, we are committed to fostering such interactions going forward through different platforms. And I again like to talk about the upcoming GWF AEC Summit, where we will be diving deeper into these concepts which are turning into reality. So we invite you all to join us in Madrid, Spain for this summit and continuing this critical conversation. Thank you once again to all our incredible panelists and to each one of you for being part of today's discussion. Let's keep pushing the boundaries of what's possible. So until next time, stay curious, stay innovative, and let's build a more sustainable future, one digital twin at a time. Thank you all.